Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video, I'm very excited because I'm going to be talking about the brand new 9-pan from NARS, and it is the NARS Afterglow Tempting eyeshadow palette. So I prefer, for NARS, they have sometimes they have 12 pans. I've gotten one 12 pan, I think, but I actually ended up decluttering it. I find when they have 12 pans, they tend to have a lot of repeat shades, but I think their 9 pans are really good, and I've really liked a lot of them. But so I was very excited. This is part of the holiday collection. This is limited edition. Now this didn't come out with the original holiday collection. I did do a video on this palette. This is the, let's see, it's the Pure Luxury Light Reflecting Cheek and Eye Palette 1. So I have been using this nonstop. I talked about how much I loved it. And honestly, I am using this and not the Hourglass ambient lighting that I got this year. I keep reaching for this. I went out of town. We went on a little weekend cruise. I took this with me. This was the only blush and bronzer I took. Absolutely love it. Can't put it down. And I think it is, and it's cheaper than the Hourglass. I think it's fantastic. So, but anyway, this didn't come out with that, but came out and it kind of was under the radar. I've only seen one other person do a video on it. I didn't watch it yet because I wanted to do my own video before I did anything. But here is the 9-pan. Now, in the pictures, it kind of looked, a lot like the other, 9 pans they have. However, once I got it and I saw it in person and then I did the swatches, it's actually, I haven't used it yet, I will say that, but my first impressions are it's definitely more different than the other palettes. And I think if you have any other 9 pans, I did some swatch comparisons, so I will show you that. I do think there's a difference. So this middle shade right here is stunning, and I am going to use that one today, but I just think it's a really great palette from what I can see. I am excited to use it and put it on my eyes, and I do really like the NARS formula. I do feel like the NARS formula is easy to use. It's very sophisticated. You can get a nice shimmer on it, but not overly shimmer. If you like a lot of glitter shimmer, this is probably not going to be for you. If you like that Pat McGrath type or even Natasha Denona, this is probably not for you, but I really like their palettes and I think they're great. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so on their website, it states, discover a dreamscape of color inside a new palette with 9 striking eyeshadows. Feel the lavender haze all over your gaze with smooth mattes, high shine shimmers, and reflective glitters in orchid, rose, and tan tones that build and blend for ethereal eyes. Pure eyeshadow pigments deliver rich, high impact color in one stroke, while velvet soft texture applies effortlessly for an even layer of color that lasts. So as I said, it is limited edition. Now, a limited edition sometimes with NARS doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sell out. There is one of the palettes that I have that was limited edition and it's currently on sale. It still states that it's limited edition, but it's currently on sale. So this one runs $49, which I will say for a 9-pan is a little pricey. So I do think, and I'll talk about my recommendation later on, I don't think it'll sell out, but they have had one that sold out and was really, really popular, and they did eventually bring it back, but now it is gone. But and I don't think that one ever went on sale, but I think this one is really pretty. So let's get into the shades. So here is the swatches that I did in Natural Sunlight, and here they are from left to right. So we have the Love Me Not, which is a pearlescent glitter, Sweet Nothing, a champagne silver glitter, Unwritten, matte sepia, Haze, a matte orchid, Feeling, a rose and teal glitter, No Lies, shimmering mink brown, Take You There, a shimmering plum, Honeymooner, glittering rose, and then Follow Me, a deep matte aubergine. And the one thing I like is that there's really only there's only 3 mattes. So there really is just only 3 mattes. I'm going to use the 2 brown ones today. I will use the lavender at some point. I do like the lavender, but I do like there's a variety of different shimmers. So before we get into that, I did want to compare, because the first thing I saw when I saw that lavender was I thought about the Anastasia, the Nouveau palette. Or Nouveau palette. I always pronounce it and somebody always corrects me. So I did want to do a comparison to that, and I believe there is a lavender in the, yes, so there's a lavender in the Natasha Denona Roxa palette. So I do want to swatch those 3 on camera just to kind of do a little comparison, just so you can see what they are. Now, I would say if you aren't a big purple fan, and I am not. I like this palette. I thought it was really nice, especially for what it is, but I'm not a big colorful purple palette. I kind of like this one because it kind of gives you a little bit of the purple, but not too much. So that might be something for you, but if you are someone who likes purple, then definitely go for the Roxa. It is a great palette. But let's go ahead and swatch. So here is the shade Haze from the NARS palette. This is Wisteria from the ABH Nouveau palette. So you can see it's very different. And then in the Roxa palette, we have Sweet Pea and Velour. So I think probably the closest one is going to be Velour, but I'll swatch it close by. But it's still, yeah, I think it's probably the closest. But it's definitely a different type of lavender from the one in Nouveau. Okay, so before we get it started with the try on, I did want to show you some comparisons with other NARS palettes. So the 4 that I have, so this is the 5th 9-pan that I have, which I like because I like nice round 5 and 10 numbers. So I have the Orgasm Rising, which if the packaging is very similar except the writing. So the Afterglow Tempting is in gold, and then the Orgasm Rising is in pink. So you have a little bit, it does say orgasm on there, so you can see the difference. But it's very subtle, but if I'm going through my drawers, I'm gonna know which one I'm picking up without having to look on the back. So there's that one. Then we have the Endless Nights, and I have Summer Solstice, and then Climax. So those are the 4 that I have. Now Summer Solstice and Climax are sold out. They're gone. They're no longer available. Orgasm Rising and Endless Nights are still available, and I think they are on sale. I know one of them is. I think it's at least 30% off because it's kind of like on clearance, or it's been like that for a while. So again, I'll talk about that at the end. I think they're all great. They're all great. But let's go ahead and do the swatch comparison. So these are all done in natural sunlight. So the first one is going to be Orgasm Rising. So you can see this one is definitely more pinky. And this one you can see where the Afterglow Tempting has a little bit more cool tones. Then we have Endless Nights. So Endless Nights has some deeper shades for sure. You've got that second to last shade. And then there's a kind of like a, I think it's the shade Young Heart. On the bottom, it's going to be the bottom row to the left, so it's the third from the end. It's kind of like a lavender, but it's a very different type of shade than the one in Afterglow Tempting. So again, still very different. Then we have Summer Solstice. Summer Solstice is definitely a warmer palette and a lot more deeper tones, whereas the Afterglow Tempting is more cooler tone and kind of more on the lighter side. And then the last one is the deepest, and this one is definitely cool tone, but this is Climax. This is the one that was very, very popular, sold out. I think it sold out twice, and it is just an excellent palette. But it is deeper, and I honestly find that I don't use it as often because it is very deep. The shadows in here are gorgeous. They're so buttery and creamy, but I find that I don't use them as often because they're just so deep, but very different. And I think this is a nice palette to complement the Climax palette. So those are the swatch comparisons of the 5 9-pans, or the 4 9-pan palettes that I have from NARS, so you can have a little bit comparison. As far as anything else I have, it's very different, especially for comparing a 9-pan. So I really didn't have anything that I really could compare to. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go in with these 2 shades here. I'm definitely going to go in with this middle shade, and then we'll see where I go from there. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am going to go in with this Unwritten, which is a matte sepia, and that's going to be my transition shade. Now it is pretty, it's kind of like more mid-tone and deeper than I would go normally. So I'm going to try and go very, very lightly. And NARS pigment shadows tend to be pretty pigmented. So I'm going to go pretty lightly. And again, I'm not, if you're new to my channel, you haven't watched me before, I'm not a makeup artist. I have gotten better with my eyeshadow. I don't do tutorials because I'm not that good. But I definitely have gotten better. So, but I'm kind of testing and trying to give you like a real life kind of review of someone who, you know, likes to do makeup, enjoys doing makeup, a full-time working mom, and, you know, wants to spend my money. Now, I did not receive this in PR. I purchased this myself, but I really enjoy the NARS eyeshadow formula. I love the 9 pans. Those are the ones I like. So, so I did purchase this myself, and plus I wanted to review it. So that is the shade Unwritten. I am going to put it on this side, but I thought it went on really nicely. I was able to go light-handed. I did have to go back in, but it blended out really nicely and is a beautiful transition shade. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with this lash shade Follow Me, which is a deep matte aubergine. So it's kind of got a little bit of a deep purple. And I didn't want to go with the purple today because I did want to just kind of go with a more neutral shadow. But I'm just going to just do very, very lightly just to deepen the corner. And even though it's not a deep brown, I probably could have used that same brown and just gone deeper and built out the outer edge, but I did want to use more shades. So, but I'm just going to just kind of do a little bit on the outer corner, just like so. Okay, so that outer edge went on really, really nicely. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in with that middle shade. It is called Feeling It, which is a rose and teal glitter. So normally I would probably go in with another shade. I'd probably do like 2 different eyes, but I have another video to film, so I need to have matching eyeshadow. And I like applying sometimes with my hands, because what happens if I don't is a lot of times you'll get hard pan, like when I do swatches and stuff. So I try not to do too much with my finger because I can get hard pan. But, and then also I will maybe go back in with my finger, but this shade I just absolutely love. I think it is so gorgeous. It's kind of like a duochrome, but it's very subtle. It's just a really pretty shade. So I am gonna go now in with my finger, and you can kind of see it here. So you can kind of see, let's see there. And then see how it looks on the eye. Now, honestly, on the eye, I don't think it's as showing up as much, but I still like it. Is it like a very impactful shadow? No, but I think it's really pretty. And like I said, it is, I find like that the NARS shadows tend to be kind of a little bit more sophisticated. So if you're going to like a work party, or this is like a palette you can wear to work, but if you're going to a work party, but you don't want to have like, you know, you want to be a little bit more professional, then this I think is a really, you know, NARS is a good brand to do that with. Okay, so I'm not going to say that the shade is disappointing, but I think it looked better in swatches, to be honest. I like it on my eye. I do really like it. But it is definitely one that it's, I'll probably have to play with it a little bit and probably need to maybe use, I don't know, I'll play with it as far as with shades, and then, but it's not like on its own. It's a very subtle, which is kind of NARS thing. You know, this shade, like it's a glitter, but it's a very like subtle, it's not like a chunky color pop glitter. This one right here is like the champagne silver glitter. This is like a shadow topper, right? This is a glitter topper. It's a very nice, I really like that. It's just something that's gonna give you a little bit of sparkle, but it's not gonna give you like opacity. But I do like it because if you ever want just like, you wanna go very simple, but you just want a little bit of pop of shimmer, then that's a really good shade to do it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the pearlescent glitter, which is Love Me Not. And I am gonna go in on the inner corner and the brow bone, and that one is gorgeous. So that is a really, now this one has definitely got a punch. This one has definitely got more of a punch. So I kind of wish that middle shade had a little bit more. It just feels like it's a little sheer. I think it's just a different formula. But anyway, I still like it, but this one is definitely a little bit more impactful. So probably a little too shimmery for the brow, but it'll work. Okay, so there you have it with that Love Me Not. And then what I'm also gonna do is I am just gonna go in with that original transition shade, and I'm going to line my lower lash line. And then after I'm done with that, I am going to just put some eyeshadow. I'm gonna put some mascara on and then come back and give you my final thoughts. Okay, so I am back. I did put a little bit of mascara. Now my mascara did get a little bit on here, but I didn't want to fix it, and because I was going to mess up my eyeshadow. So I'll probably fix it after, but it's not even the mascara's fault. I got a lash lift and they curled it a little too much. So my lashes actually kind of not just lift, but they curl and they touch the back of my eyes, which is it wasn't the best. But anyway, so another story for another time. But let's talk about this palette. So I like it. I really like it. But I also like the NARS formula. I think the NARS formula is it's great. It's good. Like I mentioned, this is more of a sophisticated eyeshadow. It's more of a sophisticated, it's like shimmer and glitter in a sophisticated, more mature way. I'm 48. I'm not going to be wearing that chunky glitter. You know, that Huda Beauty, the Icy Nude, there's like that chunky glitter. I haven't used it yet. You know, I've used that palette a couple times. I really like it, but that chunky glitter just, I don't know. And even like, I stopped buying ColourPop for that reason, but I like the glitters in here because they're very sheer. They're very just kind of subtle. And I would say that with this shadow, like I am a little disappointed with that shadow because I just kind of, it's swatched so beautifully on the eye. It's just not as impactful, but that's also the NARS brand. But I do really like this palette because I think you've got the purple, you've got, you know, it's kind of like this is how I do purple. This is how I do it, not the Roxa palette. So I really like this. As far as like with the NARS, you know, the Climax is definitely the most unique, but it's the one I reached the least for. I think it's like when I swatch it, it's like, oh my God, this is the best palette ever. But I just don't reach for it because it is a little bit more difficult to work with because the shades are deeper. It's also, you know, you can't get it anymore. The Summer Solstice I like. It's a very warm palette again, but that one's also sold out. The other two that are available, you have Orgasm Rising, which is a really good neutral kind of, a warm toned, you know, little bit of pink, but definitely warm toned. I really like that one. And then also you have Endless Nights, which again, this one is kind of a little bit more pinky, not as warm, you know, it's definitely got some more reds, has the 3 mattes at the bottom. So really, you know, just kind of a mixture, but I think that all 3 of these are pretty, you know, they're different. Of the 3 that are still available, I don't know which one I like. I think I'm kind of in between Orgasm Rising because this is just, I love warm tones, but I really like this one as well. So I don't know which, I think it's going to be what you find is, for me, is which is the one I reach for, which is the one I like to use, which is the one I take on vacation. If I'm taking a palette on vacation, that's the one I really like. So I do recommend this palette. I think it's good quality. NARS always has good quality. I think all the shades, there's not one shade in here that I don't think I will use. But I will say wait for a sale. It's $49. I do think that's a little pricey for a 9 pan. And if you kind of go with these other two, I've seen them on sale usually for about $35, which is about, I think, 30% off. I think $35 is a great price. I think do I think it's worth $49? I mean, obviously I bought it for that. Yes, I do think it's worth that, but I don't think you need to spend that, and I would say wait for a sale, especially with the holidays coming up. This one I don't think this is going to sell out. Haven't seen much buzz about it, so I do think it's great, but I would just say, again, wait for a sale. There will be one. It'll go on sale eventually. So, but that's it. I do recommend, like I said, I'll mention it again. I do recommend this palette here. I absolutely love it. It is phenomenal. I am using this instead of the Hourglass, which it has kind of replaced my Hourglass palettes, which is pretty incredible because I do love the Hourglass ambient lighting palettes, but I just find it just amazing. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you're going to be picking this up, are you thinking of waiting for a sale? And with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.